Hello you guys and welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here. Today we are going to be doing an MLM Horror Stories. I did not even recognize until I looked at my calendar of my content that I have not uploaded an MLM Horror Stories in over 2 months. So if you have an MLM Horror Story that you would like me to read, make sure to send that over to me to my email. I do have a specific MLM Horror Stories email. I will leave it down in the description below if you would like to send me yours. But I'm so happy to be back. I finished my first semester of grad school. I actually posted on my community tab. I did pass all my classes, which it was just wild going through the first semester, going through final exams. I did end up taking a week off. So I took a week off. I did girls' night, date night with my husband. I cleaned the house. I cleaned my office. I just took like a week for myself and to just like wrap my mind around this past long semester. I also prepped everything for class next semester. I got all of the stuff that I'm going to need for next semester for school. So that's kind of what I've been doing, which is why I have not uploaded in 2 weeks, because 1 week I was doing finals and then the following week I was taking that little break that I felt like I really just wanted to take from the world. So I spent a lot of time relaxing and just like getting things ready for the next semester so that I could have the next couple of weeks before the semester starts to just pump out content and get back to uploading videos, because that's all I'm going to be doing for the next 3 weeks. So I'm very excited. I am going to be seeing family the weekend in January before I go back to school. I hope that you guys are doing amazing. I just wanted to update you guys on why I have not uploaded in, I believe it's been 2 weeks. So yeah, let's get into our MLM horror stories. If you guys would also like me to upload some MLM fails this month, I would love to do, because I have the next 3 weeks off before the semester starts. I would love to do an MLM fails a week along with the other videos that I want to plan and have up for y'all. So if you have any MLM fails that you would want me to react to, make sure to also email those to me. Okay, so the first MLM horror story I am going to read, I'm not sure that this is really an MLM horror story, but it was sent to me in my MLM Horror Story email, so I wanted to read it. It's very, very brief, but I thought we would read it. So I got an email and it said, "Hi to my favorite anti-MLM creators. Today was the Rodan and Fields convention in Houston, Texas. I screen recorded key points of the convention for you to react to if you choose to do so. Please view the videos in the Google link below." I did click on that link and I wasn't able to view it. This happens a lot where people will send me Google links to things, and if I don't click on it like the day of or the week that they send it to me, it disappears, and then I'm not able to go back and see things that people send me. So I wasn't able to see that, but I wanted to still read what she wrote after that. She said, "Should you do so, please keep me anonymous as I am technically still an RNF consultant. I just emailed my last few preferred customers to alert them that I will be canceling my RNF consultantship on October 31st of 2023. As if a $9,102.69 loss wasn't bad enough, when I expanded this to include the inevitable costs associated with purchasing most of these on credit, well, as you see above, combining expenses, credit card, late payment fees, and interest expenses, my profit/loss end result was $38,351.48. This is a conservative estimate of the expenses, as I did not include the travel expenses associated with traveling for conventions and local training and recruiting, aka retention events. Why was I so blind to this for so long? Sigh. I made a concerted effort to cancel all of my preferred customer accounts. Thank you." That's a lot of money. I will say this happens a lot. People will put things on credit cards and they're not realizing late fees, interest, all of that when they look at their expenses for their MLM. We also have a lot of people that don't look at their profit and loss margins when they're in an MLM. So a lot of people will just see the income that's coming in. So they'll see, oh, I made $50, this week, or I made $100 this month. And it may seem like a lot, but once you actually go through and you see, well, I'm actually spending $80 a month on auto shipments to stay active. And wait, I'm going on 2 trips a month that I'm spending like $1,500 every time I'm there. Wait, I'm actually putting this all on a credit card because I don't actually have the money to pay for for it. So then I have to think about all of those interest charges because I can't actually pay my credit card off. You have to think about all of those other expenses that are coming in. But most people who are in MLMs aren't taught to look at those expenses, and instead they're taught to just keep purchasing those items. So instead of just this individual looking as if she spent $9,000 and being at a $9,000 loss, at the end of it, when she really looked at her expenses and she looked at her interest rates and everything like that, and she tallied everything together, not even including travel costs, which I've talked about travel costs in the past. I went on about 5 to 6 MLM trips when I was in an MLM, and my cost ranged about $900 to $1,500 a trip. So I will say normally trips will range about that much to include hotel, flights, food, things that you're going to buy there will probably range you $900 to $1,500. So that's not even including the trip she went on, and she spent $38,000. And you don't really realize those things when you're in the MLM because, again, you're not taught to realize those things when you're in. So I'm so sorry to this person that lost all that money, but I'm very happy to see that this person did decide to look at those things, look at how much money they were losing in their MLM, and then decide to leave, which a lot of people don't do. A lot of people leave their MLM before they even go and look at their expense and profit and loss percentages. So let's read the next MLM horror story. So this one says, "Dear Deanna, my name is Allah. Feel free to use it, but I will be changing the names of everyone else in the story. So this is going to be long. Sorry for having you dry out your mouth by reading this aloud. It's okay. I've got my simple, modern, ginormous thing of water." So it looks like she has a bunch of MLMs that she was in. So the first one is going to be about Tupperware. So it says, "Tupperware. Anyway, there are a few parts to my story. The first was my first encounter with an MLM. My mom had 3 of us kids. I have another sibling, but he was born much later, so it's not in this story. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and was married to my dad, who was in the Air Force at the time. Somehow, some way, I was like 3 or 4 years old at the time. My mom started working in Tupperware. Now, as I was so young and didn't care too much about it, all I really remember is that my mom once went to a party and it was so boring. As a literal toddler, all I can remember was during the one party I remember was me thinking, why do grown-ups like these parties? There's nothing to do. Well, with less grammar anyway. I didn't realize that my mom saw the light at some point and stopped selling Tupperware. Beachbody. Okay. There's not much to say on this brush. I was in middle school and high school, and this was around the time that Beachbody started to become an MLM, around 2011 and 2015's time period. Anyways, during this time, we did P90 in the gym sometimes. I never knew it was Beachbody until you, Deanna, started talking about it. However, these were old workouts from way before they became an MLM. And how do I know this? Because they were all on VHS tapes. Literally, all of these workouts were played on the VCR. American public schools still used VCRs in 2015. The next one says Mary Kay. The next brush with an MLM came from my sister, who had met a new, quote, friend at college. It was now fall 2018, and I was in my second year of college. I still am in college as I needed to switch schools and a bunch of other crazy stuff before the dreaded 2020. And there were 2 other girls who were already there, but I didn't know them, and they left right after the makeup portion. My sister, who I'll call A, was approached to throw a Mary Kay party. A invited me, our campus ministry girls, all the college girls in our church, and that was really it. We went to this random office-looking building, like a place you can rent to hold interviews and stuff, at this random strip mall about 45 minutes away. All I can really remember before going was feeling dread. I have social anxiety with meeting new people, but I have absolutely no fear of public speaking. Yeah, I'm weird. And I'm an introvert who had just spent like 8 hours around other people in class. I just wanted to be alone in my room for a few hours. My sister drove us to the office place where we had the party. We were given a little set of tester like tray with products on it after the woman asked us if we had dry, oily, or combination skin to wash. At this point, I want to point out that I have ridiculously sensitive skin, which, while it has gotten better since I was a child, is still very sensitive. So much so that there are very few brands of cleanser and makeup that I can put on it. It's a genetics thing I got from my mom. Anyways, I hadn't been able to do a patch test on my wrist, so being the socially anxious person that I am. I just had to do what I was being pressured into doing. Use the cleaning products and put on the makeup that hadn't been patch tested. While we were putting on the makeup, the two hosts, the friend of A's, I'll call her B, and her upline, I'll call C, started the pitch. B and C started talking about how they sold Mary Kay and how they just talked to people. They were talking more and more and eventually talked about the free trips. And then this is what I really remember because I had never heard of it before. They talked about the car. Now, for preface, I only had known Mary Kay as a makeup brand. I had never known of an MLM and assumed they used direct marketing, like the legit version. They sold it as that, at first at least. Anyways, back to the car. This is exactly what was said to us. Yes, this line stuck out to me that I remember the exact line. Quote, "So when people think of Mary Kay, they think of the pink car, the pink Cadillac." And B said, "But what people don't know is that the pink Cadillac isn't the only car that Mary Kay gives people." End quote. I had stopped everything I was doing and gave her this really confused look, as if I had to describe my face at that point. It would have been a, "What have you been taking and can you tell me how to avoid it? Because it is really messing with your head" kind of look. For one thing, I never knew that Mary Kay had a car program, let alone that they had a pink one. Actually, C put a picture on the screen of the pink Cadillac. It was so light, I thought it was an off-white car, not pink. And the whole pink seemed to be a selling point for them. But ever since I was 2, I hated the color pink. So it was actually a deterrent for me. Anyway, at the end of the night, they didn't try and separate us like many people say they do, and probably for one reason. It turns out we were all coming back the next night. Again, I got pressured into being there. This time I was way less reluctant though. The reason being my friend from church, who I'll call D, had just come out as bisexual the past week, and she seemed to really be trying to hold on to us and feel out if we were all still friends, if we were going to treat her the same, or if we would treat her differently after she came out. To my knowledge, no one treated her any differently than before. And a few weeks later, my other friend E came out as asexual. Anyways, we all went back to that same random strip mall place 45 minutes from my house, but this time E and her sister F had their mother come. D and her mother came, and a couple more women from our church came, and this time there were no random other women there. We all knew each other. It was the same setup as yesterday, only the pitch was slightly different. This time, they started with the history of Mary Kay, how it was founded, that there was a little quiz to see how much we might know, with the winner getting some free products. Then came another line that I vividly remember. C said, and I quote, "This is a company made by women for women to empower women. Women are our customers and our partners." C kept saying, "Women, women, women." And when I first noticed it, I was like, well, this is kind of sexist. There are men out there that wear makeup too, so men could be your customers, not to mention non-binary people. That just struck out to me as a bit prejudiced. Then I thought, even if men didn't wear makeup, maybe you want to buy your sister, girlfriend, wife, mother something. It seemed like they were overly focused on the woman aspect, which I did not like. They did more intricate explanations on how the business works, then started pulling us aside. Oh, so they waited until the day after to do that. F did end up signing up onto being an MK distributor. A and D ended up buying products, and when it was my turn to get pulled aside, B could probably see I was uncomfortable. Remember, social anxiety, but public speaking is fine with me, so one-on-one interaction with new people for me is terrifying. Thankfully, talking with others was helpful, but I still hate doing it. We had been handed little cards to fill out with questions like if we wanted to have a Mary Kay party, if we wanted to join, were we interested in being used as models for other parties. I had answered yes to hosting/having a party, but again, it was obvious I was uncomfortable, and this is where I have a crap ton of respect for this rep. She outright asked me if I was answering yes out of a feeling of obligation, which I was. When I confirmed that I was and that I was happy with my products and was not going to buy anything, she smiled at me and said, "Okay, then I will make sure that no one contacts you to try and get you to have a party." B told me she kept treating me the same as she had been the whole time, both days I was there, and only gave someone more attention when they were in the one-on-one time or came up to her after to change or add in an order. And guess what? I was never contacted by any Mary Kay rep. She stuck to her word, which honestly astounded me. And it astounded me more when I learned more about MLMs and how they were structured. When I got home, the first thing I did was wash my face. The products left my skin red and itchy, but nothing worse, thank you God. I went to talk to my parents, as I was a broke college student living at home, about my time there. When we got to talking about Mary Kay and BNC wanting us to pay over $100 to join, my parents quickly asked if I had. I looked at them both dead in the eyes and said, no, I don't have $100. Besides, it sounded too good to be true. It sounded like a scam. Besides, I would have to talk to people. Both my parents knew about my social anxiety and that I'm an introvert, so that made them smile a bit. They quickly confirmed it was a scam, which is when I learned that Tupperware had a similar selling model as Mary Kay, and it was a waste of money per my mom. I have a story on an actual pyramid scheme. A week later, I got a text from another woman in my church. It was the usual holiday pyramid scheme, the one that says you can send one person a gift and get 6 in return. Yeah, that one. I didn't know it was a scheme at the time, and I did end up doing it. But I used Amazon to gift a friend from church whose address I already had an Aladdin-themed bracelet, and I got a hand/nail self-care kit from another woman in my church. Thankfully, I did not seem to have anything stolen, didn't give away any details to anyone who didn't have them, and was happy with my gift, and my friend was happy with her bracelet. Unknown MLM. Remember E, sister to F, who started Mary Kay? Yeah, she and her dad got into another MLM. Not sure which one. We only talked about it briefly in passing, and when I said I didn't want to join, she respected that. I just know one of the selling points was it was going to be an online shop that rivaled Amazon in the next 2 years. We also seem to have gotten random Scentsy stuff for presents. We don't use it. It's a wall plug-in wax melter. You know, those air wick wall plugins? It's like that, but a wax melter and with 2 puppies. That's not practical. Now, I know you like to have updates at the end of these emails. E, F, and their dad are out of their respective MLMs. F, Mary Kay MLM, never really had time to work the business because she was in school to become a registered massage therapist. She graduated and now gets paid $20 to $30 an hour plus tips at her massage therapy job. E works at Chick-fil-A, is going to college for graphic design. She never stopped, thankfully, but 2020 and 2021 have kind of knocked everyone a bit sideways, but she's doing well. Their father is doing Uber Eats, as is E on the side, and makes good money. E and F's mother does believe F could have gone far in Mary Kay, but she was too lazy to do anything with the business. When I asked about how F was doing, it was a few weeks afterwards. She was taking a really intense 3-month quick course to fish faster. I have not joined an MLM, thankfully. I started a YouTube channel for my puppies. I unfortunately haven't been able to update it much due to personal matters, health, family, death, moving, learning more and more how to train a deaf dog, and a bunch of other personal stuff that I don't want to get into. I also have a different channel, which is really just an excuse to color and relax to help me desire from all the things going on. And I started an Instagram for my pups as well. I'll list everything in case you want to look it up. Okay, so I just realized that I've already read this story, but it's been 2 years. So what happened is, let's see how to explain this. This individual sent me another MLM Horror Stories 2 years later. So she sent it to me November 29th of 2023. And she said, hi, it's me again. I was the woman who sent you the horror story from episode 79. So I went back and I actually uploaded that back in 2021, December 17th. So nearly exactly 2 years ago. And I was like, some of this sounds a little bit familiar, but I'm like, I don't think I've read this before, but it's been 2 years. So I'm going to keep all of that in this video. And now I'm going to read you her 2 year later horror story. But if you feel like you remember a little bit of that, it's because I read that horror story 2 years ago, but I accidentally just read the whole entire thing just now. So now we're gonna listen to her second story. I don't know why I didn't scroll all the way. It's because when I click on that email, it pops up the original email first. I don't know why it did that when I started reading this MLM horror story. So keep in mind that story I just read was an MLM horror story from 2 years ago. So if you're a new subscriber, you've never heard this one before. Now, from this year, literally 2 weeks ago, November 29th of 2023. Let's read her update. Sorry if you listened to that story 2 years ago, but I feel like this is a cool little 2-year update. She said, "Dear Deanna, it's me again. I was the woman who sent you the horror story about some MLM being the next Amazon in episode 79 of your horror stories. So while not a lot has happened on the MLM front, as I've stayed away from them and no one has tried to contact me to join one, at least not to my knowledge. They could have sent me a Facebook message, but I'm never on it. I feel like I should give you additional background and context. When I first sent the email, it was November 2021. It is now November, almost December 2023. So 2 years has passed, and I feel like I have grown and am much more secure in myself and in my past, which is very important for this. Anyways, to skip to the juicy details, the context/background I feel the need to give was my unique situation when I came to MLMs and how my sister and friends in my last story related to them. Well, long story short, I was raised in a cult, and every friend and every other one of their parents that I talked about in the other email, they were in a cult as well. To my knowledge, only myself and one other girl in my last email are out of this cult. We do both consider ourselves Christians still. My sister is included as still being in the cult. She is devoted to the cult, not believing it is one. I feel as if I need to give this context and background for a couple of reasons. One, I don't know how many other people will see this and feel more seen and validated. Two, I only actually realized I was in a cult in late 2019 to early 2020, so I didn't feel ready to admit this, nor did I realize how much this cult shaped how I see the world. And three, I only actually started to realize it was a cult by watching anti-MLM content. To get the big question out of the way, the cult I was in is called the ICOC, International Church of Christ. I've never heard of this, so I'm going to go just based off her experience and what she is telling me, but I personally have never heard of this before. My mom and dad joined the cult when I was 3 to 4 years old. When I was little, all I knew was I got to play with friends every Wednesday night and Sunday morning. As I mentioned before in the last email, my dad was in the Air Force. As such, even in the cult, I had an odd upbringing. We would sometimes be placed in places where the cult was not, and as such, I would get these long periods of time without the influence of the other members of the cult, and then get really hot with it when we visited friends or when we lived close enough to one of the cult churches to go there. Due to this, I don't have any memories as a child about the cult other than playing with my friends. I never memorized scriptures because I was never really there long enough to care. My real memories and experiences with the cult were when I became a teenager. My sister started studying the Bible after one of the church leaders started talking to her about it. My parents were so proud. They gave my sister some extra attention, and I'm old enough to admit I was jealous. She got this new attention from both one of the cult leaders, who was very charismatic, and from our parents in a new and exciting way. So I decided I wanted that same attention. However, I did not want to sit on Skype for 3 hours a week with someone I barely knew, so I never actually went forward with studying the Bible the same time as my sister. When my family finally moved closer to the cult, it was in Las Vegas. We moved there from Michigan, and the most interaction I had with it was when we went to church and when we went over to our friend's house in the midweeks. It wasn't until a year later, 6 months after we moved to Ohio, since we moved from Vegas to Ohio, that I actually started learning and studying the Bible. Basically, the cult was cherry picking some passages, and I was getting myself brainwashed. I was 16 at the time. Suffice to say, I joined the cult, got baptized into it, and did most of the things. I never did recruit or help convince studying the Bible/convert them though, which is a very serious thing in the cult. Anyways, how I figured out it was a cult was very much thanks to the anti-MLM videos such as yours. I watched you, Chelsea Suarez, Jessica Hickson, and Hannah Alonso all pointed out the same MLM tactics and how cults and how they are both alike. The retreats, not talking to those who left, the incentives, how you are told not to look up certain things, how a lot of the trainings were just the same restated ideas, the love bombing, and more. It was all the same thing my church was doing. To me, to my sister, to my brother, my dad, the nasty rumors being spread if someone wasn't just the way people at the top thought they had to be. I realized I was in a cult and did not know how to get out. I am an introvert, and the only socializing I get outside of my family was in college, at work, or in the cult and its meeting. I didn't have many friends in school. My coworkers were all much older than me, so I was scared to leave. I didn't know how people would take my leaving, and I had seen them cut off people who left without a second thought. And a ton of crap started happening with my dad's health. I now help my mom take care of him because he's gotten so bad. My dad was still going to the cult. He believed in it wholeheartedly, and I was given responsibilities too. I feel like they knew I was falling away and tried to get me to stay by giving me work that I would feel obligated to do. I'm a people pleaser, which sucks. I feel like with a lot of MLMs or situations that are cults, if you are a people pleaser, you are really going to get pulled into things like that, especially cults and multi-level marketing companies. People who consider themselves people pleasers don't really know how to say no. So a lot of the times, if you are presented with an MLM or you are presented with something like a cult and you don't really recognize that it is one, or if you're presented with an MLM and maybe you don't realize what it is, you're just going to join because you're a people pleaser and you don't know really how to say no to people, or you just don't want to say no because, again, you're a people pleaser. So a lot of people pleasers end up getting into multi-level marketing companies or into cults and really getting fully in them. So if you know someone that's in an MLM or a cult, it could be because there are huge people pleasers, and those are a lot of people that get pulled into multi-level marketing companies because they don't know how to say no, or they're not really comfortable with just telling somebody no. They're kind of like that person that if you go into a store and the person at the cash register says, do you want to open a line of credit? And it's that person who says, yeah, I'll do it, because you just don't know how to say no. Those are the kind of people who are going to get pulled into things like MLMs and cults. She continued with saying, it wasn't until COVID and lockdowns hit that I had the perfect opportunity to leave. I just stopped going to Zoom sessions, stopped watching the sermons on YouTube, stopped most things. I cannot tell you how freeing it felt not to have to remember to go to church when it felt horrible, because they would guilt you into it. I didn't have to give excuses to leave at 9 p.m. to go to sleep after a long day, because most day events didn't end before 10 p.m. and we were obligated to clean up everything as well. This isn't even scratching the surface of the things the cult did, said, or taught. I don't know if you'll ever read this or ever read it on your channel, but I hope you do. I want to help people realize, in cults or just out of cults, realize that they're not alone. If you do want to learn more or hear more about my experience, just say the word. I'll try and email you more details. Thank you for reading, whether out loud, on YouTube, or just reading silently. And thank you for unknowingly helping me realize I was in a cult. It probably saved my future, and you are doing great work. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. I know that can't be easy, especially this person feeling comfortable with sharing their name. I know a lot of people who go through similar situations are not comfortable with sharing their name on a platform like this. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. If anyone else has had an experience with those individuals, definitely let me know. So I looked up the church that she's talking about, and yeah, there is not a lot of good things said on the internet about them. So I'm very interested to look into them now. If you guys would like me to. I have not really looked into cults or anything like that. I would say I've gone more towards looking into scams in MLMs or scam companies, individuals who have scammed people, influencer scams, things like that. So if you guys would like me to look into cults and stuff like that, definitely let me know. So the next story I'm going to read is about is it about Arbonne? Wait, no, I lied. Not about Arbonne. It is stated real MLM horror story. I gotta delete that off my thing. I thought I wrote in my notes, because I write notes for all of my videos. I thought I wrote in my notes that it was an Arbonne story, but it's not. It's just titled Real MLM Horror Story. So let's see what real story this is. She says, hello, Deanna. Here it goes. I work for a top real estate agent and have since 2016. She used to have a second assistant in addition to me that worked for her from the middle of 2018 to the beginning of 2020. She no longer works with us. I'll call her Becky, not her real name. Becky was about 25, had a bachelor's degree, and was married with 2 children. She was always complaining about money, despite the fact that her husband made over $100K a year, and Becky worked 40 40 hours a week for $16 an hour and had no school loans because her school had been paid for. I didn't know much about MLMs at the time because I'm not active on social media. So she started selling these expensive leggings called Zaya on the side, and I didn't think anything of it. She didn't change with the company, but then she did join Beachbody, and Becky morphed into a different person and all hell broke loose. She said I agreed to buy the shakes and did so for about a year. But I didn't want or need to be coached because I'm not able to exercise, and I actually use the shakes as a meal addition because I struggle to gain weight. So I'd add ice to them and drink them with a full meal to add fat, calories, and more nutrients to my diet. In all fairness, I did like the shakes, even though they were quite expensive and I had to order them every month. Becky did pester me to sign up as a coach, but she pestered my boyfriend so bad that it was literally unbearable to be around her. She also started talking incessantly about working her business, and it was very cringy. Yeah, Beachbody is one of the worst. I'm probably biased because that's the MLM I was in, but they essentially throw their MLM down your throat. It's ridiculous. My sister sent me screenshots of her social media posts that showed her working her real estate job in the office with #BossBabe captions, despite the fact that the office was our boss's office, not hers. And for real estate, totally unrelated to Beachbody. I just rolled my eyes. She also posted misleading before and after pictures of herself. I said misleading because the before pictures were when she was pregnant or right after giving birth. To my knowledge, Becky only ever had one client besides me who she always bashed for being a low-income smoker. What? Who worked at Walmart and ate McDonald's. I pointed out that if the girl was already healthy, she wouldn't need her in the first place. Anyways, then Becky started talking about getting her client to sell Beachbody and quit her Walmart job. I knew nothing about the MLM structure or recruiting at the time, but I remember looking at her and said, "What on earth makes you think she'd be a good fit for that?" She didn't respond. Becky also complained constantly about how her husband was negative about her business because she was spending more money than she was making. When I asked her if it was true and she was spending more than she made, she conceded that yes, she did, but that she would be successful eventually if she just kept working on her business. And he needed to support her. I just wouldn't respond to things like that. She quit working with us a little over a year ago, but she is still friends with another realtor, we'll call her Lisa, that I have occasional contact with. Lisa and Becky were friends for 5+ years prior to Becky working in real estate or the MLM. She pestered Lisa constantly to sign up for Beachbody. She would always tell me how she's a bad friend because she didn't support her. Now I'm getting to the horror story part. Sorry, this is long and feel free to edit some out. About 6 months ago, I asked Lisa if she had talked to Becky and how she was doing. What she told me was almost unbelievable and heartbreaking. Lisa said that Becky had left her husband for a guy she met at the gym, and they were living in his parents' basement. She also said that she rarely saw her children, and her husband had gotten custody of them. I asked if she had a job or if she was still doing Beachbody, and she said no job, but that she was still doing Beachbody. Based on Becky's behavior, when she worked with me after joining the MLM, I sincerely believe that Beachbody probably had much to do with her leaving her family for another guy and losing everything: her house, her kids, her marriage, her job, her friends. It's very sad. She was always reading those personal development books too, and seemed fully convinced that she could and would succeed at Beachbody if she could just work her business. Thanks for listening, and again, please keep me anonymous. Thank you, Deanna, for all you do, your candor, and your awareness to bring to these predatory companies. Oh, she also said, P.S. I was the girl who recommended you do a video on side hustles that actually make money. That's how I'm a Poshmark reseller on the side and have so much success doing it. I made that video oh my gosh, how long ago? Let me see. And I don't even think that video performed well. I think it's like one of my lowest viewed videos of all time, but it's not even about that. I wanted to put that video up because I didn't care about how many views it got, how many comments it got, or anything. I just wanted to have that video out there so that anybody who needed to see it could see it. So I did make that video a long time ago because it was recommended. recommended to me about side hustles that people could do to make a little extra money and people not having to join an MLM. So I'm so happy that this person started Poshmark. So yes, when did I do that? I did that video March 15th of 2021. It was called 15 plus side hustles you can do at home, how to make money from home without joining an MLM. So I talked about a bunch of different ones. I talked about how to start an Etsy shop. I talked about Fiverr, Upwork, freelance writing, how to start a blog, YouTube growing tips and YouTubers to watch if you wanted to start a YouTube channel. I talked about Poshmark, Rev.com, Rover, dog sitting, surveys, so places you can go to answer surveys and make money. Even if it's an extra $10, that's an extra $10. Data entry jobs, online juror jobs, Arise call centers. So yeah. I made that video forever ago. I'll actually link that video if you guys want to watch it. I'm so glad that that person's the one that recommended it. And I'm also glad that I could read her story. Gosh, the sun is going down, or essentially is down. I hate it. I need daylight savings again. Who hates when the thing goes back to regular time? I know I do, because I need daylight savings back. The sun's already down and it's only 5 o'clock. Anyways, this video got very long. I'm so happy I could do a very long MLM horror stories for you guys. I haven't been able to do a very long one in a long time. So don't forget to leave a like and a comment and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you made it this far in the video, leave a present. Leave a present down below. So yeah, I will see you guys in next week's videos. My sister, who I'll call A, was approached to forgot to clean off my mascara. We had and only gave me even y'all, look at how perfect. I'm so proud of myself. I think that this is the most I have ever showed people my gift wrapping, but this is the first year I've ever learned how to do bows on gifts. And look at it. I'm obsessed. I'm so proud of myself. So proud. I just wanted to show y'all. And I got my Merry Christmas shirt on today. I'm feeling jolly, very jolly today. So if you made it this far and you're watching the bloopers, leave me a present in the comment section down below.